Hi, I'm Claire from Plantpassion, and today I'm going to show you about sowing seeds. Even in a large field like we've got here, you don't need to start huge amounts of seeds at a time because we're aiming for succession planting and having a range of flowers all through the season. So we start our seeds either in these module trays or in small seed trays like this, or for some of them which are larger seeds in slightly larger half trays like this. And today I'm going to show you some of our hardy annuals. We're at the very beginning of October now, so we're on our second range of hardy annuals. The first lot we sowed at the beginning of September, and they're now nice healthy plug plants. These guys will grow on, and we'll put them in plugs over the winter and plant them out at the very beginning of spring. Now, why should you plant hardy annuals? Why plant them now in the autumn rather than the next season? Well, because they get a better root growth, and that's what we're aiming for. Strong, healthy plants which will then give us tall plants which will give us strong flowers. And if a flower is stronger, has got a stronger stem, it will last longer in the vase. So what we're going to do now is sow the seeds. We need a good quality seed compost. We use peat-free compost here. And because seeds tend to be really small, we want to make sure there are no air pockets in the compost. So what we do is we use a good quality seed compost, and then for seeds we sieve it. So all the large particles get left behind. We then want to fill up our trays, and again make sure that there's no air particles. So we're going to shake it around and bash it down so that we have a seed growing medium that's level with the compost tray, with the seed tray. And then the next stage is going to be watering. We water it first before we put the seeds in, and it's really important we water it with a fine rose, or in our case we use a fine hose. So that's what I'm going to do next. So we want to make sure that the compost is nice and damp. What we're aiming for is so that there's water in the bottom of the tray, but that the seed trays aren't sitting in water. So for our second lot of hardy annuals, we're going to be sowing clary pink Sunday and some Gypsophila and some more Orlea, because that's a lovely white flower that could be flowering from the end of May, and we need lots of it. So when you're sowing seeds, it's a good idea to put them into a dry hand and then just sprinkle a little bit at a time. If the seeds are too tiny for you to do this, then you can mix the seeds with some sand before you sprinkle it on. But most seeds you can get to the point where you're just putting 5 or 6 seeds in each module. So we've really liked the pink Sunday clary sage this year, so we're sowing 2 trays of that. And when you finish sowing the tray, before you move on to the next one, make sure you put a label on it. So we've put a label, and it has what we've planted, the date that we've planted it, and who the seeds came from, so we know who they've came from if they're an excellent success and we want to buy more next year, or if they haven't happened so well. So that's the clary. I'm now going to do the Gypsophila. This is a smaller seed, a lovely annual Gypsophila that again will be ready by the end of May, the very beginning of June, whereas if we do a sowing next season, it will be a couple or 3 weeks later. So if we start it in March or April, it will be slightly smaller, it won't have such a large root system, and it won't be quite as strong. So again, we're just going to put a sprinkle of each of these on each of the modules, but that's still going to be enough for 30 or 40 plants, which is what we'll be needing at a time. And again, we've written the label to make sure we don't forget it. In this seed tray, we're going to plant some Orlea. And this is Orlea that I have collected from my own saved seed. We had some in the greenhouse here and it did really well. So we're going to use this seed. And this is a larger seed. So actually, although we prepare the tray in exactly the same way, in a minute I'm going to show you the difference. They're big seeds, so we need to make sure that they get pressed down onto the surface of the growing medium. And these will take about 3 weeks to germinate. So when you spread those out, just press them in. Now with these smaller seeds, we've found that the best way of getting them to germinate and not to wash them away when you water them later in the week is to put some vermiculite on the top. And this is an inert substance that just covers it up fairly lightly. And we've had really good success by using the vermiculite, so that although it's a little bit expensive, we use it on almost all our seeds now. The exception being the really big ones that you can see individually, and those we're going to cover with a little bit more sieved compost. Okay, and not forgetting the label. These, because they've been watered first, won't need another water for a couple of days, but we will keep an eye on them and make sure that they don't dry out. And that's seed sowing.